Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're enjoying the music. I made it. I'll link the channel real quick. I'll just link the video. How about that? We'll link it. Hopefully everything's working tonight. Oh, look at this. Look at this ad. Look at this ad. Well, first of all, you can watch me here. I'm cool looking. Playing synth and guitar. Good times had by all. Maybe need a little light on me. I'm inclined to not put light on me. My skin's been super messed up lately. It's not plugged in. Interesting. Ah. That's right, I unplugged this so that I could plug another synth in. Unplug that so I could plug in another synth. Ooh, that's too much. There we go. There we go. That's a little better. Alright. Yeah. My iwi. The, next on the list is doing some stuff with the iwi 5000. A lot of people don't realize that I'm a wind instrument player. I'm a woodwind player. I play clarinet and saxophone and all of that stuff as well. So the iwi is very fun for me because I can do some insane sounds while using wind instrument technique. So yeah, I gotta have like a whole thing where I can just like pull instruments down and play them with my weird stuff. Yeah, look at this ad. Look at this ad. Age gap dating zone. Flirtfordate.com. I think this. I usually see these have like an AI image, and I think this. She's really tall. That's why I think this is an AI image, right? It's like hitting... There's something weird going on there. Could be AI. Just a funny ad. You know, like, we have your profile on YouTube says you're 40. Age gap dating. Go. Very funny to me. Yeah. Have you ever experimented with dungeon synth? Yes. We'll put a dungeon synth. We'll put some. I've done some improvised live dungeon synth. Yeah. We'll put some up next. I'll find it on the channel. It's in there somewhere. Search channel. Dungeon. Yeah, there's some dungeon synth in here. I had an idea for like an album that would be like doom metal mixed with dungeon synth, but I never like got working on that because I wanted to do these 100 improvs, and I'm coming to the conclusion of that cycle, and so when we get to that conclusion, then it'll be time to think of other cool stuff. So, yeah. There we go. All right, where were we? Let's see if I got about 45 minutes here, and then I probably need to get moving. Got started a little bit late tonight because I was just so tired. Stayed up till like 3 with my daughter. She couldn't sleep. I'll put up the dungeon synth next. I need to get cracking on finish my novel so I can move on to a different one I've been excited to write. Yeah. Trying to have a solid plan going in so avoid the usual issues with stalling out. Yeah. You want to have a good plan before you begin. And also just execute the process. Like, write consistently. Like I said the other day, I think it's really important to keep Stephen King's advice in mind that, like, one novel, one season. In other words, like, you really need to write it in a reasonable amount of time or you're going to find yourself, like, losing touch with what inspires that novel. There's a lot of wisdom there from a guy who's written like 100 books or however many books he's written of sizable length, you know. I get that some people don't like Stephen King's writing, but his output should not be controversial at all. His ability to complete his projects, even when he's bad at completing the projects, like with The Stand, the end result when he's able to finish is usually pretty good on average. And the market agrees. The market buys his books, and they have for a long time. What's the use of brackets? Those are just notes for what's going to happen. That's just me putting notes in from, like, my planning document and stuff. So that when I sit down, it's in the document, and I'll delete it once I write it. But it's like, it's in there. So if anytime I open it up, I just know exactly where I'm going. I don't really need to do that with this project because I'm only writing it on stream. But, like, for any other book, it's really useful to be able to go, you know, if I'm on my phone or a laptop or something, I could pull it up and there's no sitting, thinking, searching. That's in the document. That's the next thing that needs to be written. So that's why I do it like that. And it just really kind of shows it like that. Yeah, it gets easier the more you write. First work's always the hurdle. And, like, the more you do it, this is the thing, is, like, not only does it get easier, it gets better. So this idea that there's this competition between quantity and quality is just not true. That would be like saying, you know, it's better to practice 2 hours a day instead of 4 hours a day. You'll get, because the 2 hours will improve your quality. Like, it's a better 2 hour quality, right? It's like, no, right? Like, you know, you could practice badly for 4 hours, but that doesn't mean that you practice better for 2 hours at all. Right. The more you practice, generally, the better you're going to be. The more time you spend with your instrument, the better you're going to be at it. So the more you write, the better you get at writing. So it gets easier to write, and the writing itself actually gets better. You get better at doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I'll make another music analogy because I've, you know, kind of like practice zombie type stuff. I've known people that really don't work on new repertoire like ever. And I encountered this as an undergraduate and a graduate student. I knew people that had played the same music for 10 years. They, like, never added anything to their repertoire, and they never got enough repertoire to do anything. So they, you know, rule of thumb for, like, classical guitars, you need an hour to be able to do a gig. You need to be able to have an hour of material. And that's going to be true probably for pop bands as well. Like, if you're going to be playing the bar scene, you need to have at least an hour. You need to be able to play for at least like 45 minutes, an hour. So how do you get there? Well, would you rather have, people will make this really dumb false equivalency. Would you rather have 45 minutes, would you rather have 20 minutes of good music or 45 minutes of bad music? And the answer is, if you want to actually have a career, it's 45 minutes of good music. Like you can't not have good music, but you need the 45 minutes, right? The 45 minutes of less quality than 20 amazing minutes. The 20 minutes are not going to do you anything, right? Playing one piece really well doesn't do anything for you at all in the world. Nothing, right? You might as well play nothing. You might as well not play any pieces, because you will never have an opportunity to play that one piece that you know really well, and that's it. You'll never get paid for doing that. So sorry, you got to learn more music. You have to do more. You need more quantity. And the truth is, the guys who learn 2-3 hours of repertoire, they play that one piece that guy's like, I'm playing one piece in this semester, I'm going to make it the best. They play that one piece, they blow them off the stage. They're way better at it. Why? Because they just have more experience playing music. They learn that one piece faster because they've learned 100 other pieces. You learn all the pathways for practicing. You learn to operate the instrument better. You learn to learn better. Everything gets better when you do more of it. So it's the same thing with writing, right? Sit down. The more you write, the better you get at it. And not only the better you get at it, the quicker the words come out, the better those words are going to be. You get better at what you're doing. So the idea that you can just, ignore that is kind of absurd to me. But it's the lie that people tell themselves. And they tell themselves that lie because it's comforting. It's one of those comforting lies of like, well, I'm not finishing my book, but it's going to be better than this guy. It's like, no, it won't actually. Your first book that you took 7 years to write will be as good or bad as this other guy's book who took 7 months to write it. So you just have to do the work. Like, you have to get off your ass and do it. There's no, there's no way around it. All right, here's some Dungeon Synth. Out of focus. Look how out of focus this is. I don't know what I was doing with this camera. It's an aesthetic, though. It's the out of focus aesthetic. I could probably do this better now. Was it in Keys to Prolific Creativity that I read that in pottery, people who make more worse quality ceramics ended up more skilled than people who took their time and made fewer better ceramics? I didn't equate that to ceramics because it's outside my expertise, but I would believe that if someone's like, yeah, my students the guy who made 100 pots and most of them were bad, ended up with a better pot at the end than the guy who made 5 pots and tried to make each one as good as possible. Right? Because you learn with each iteration, you learn a lot. You learn about what not to do. You learn what to avoid, in a lot of cases, you have to make more than one pot to learn the technique. So yeah. Anyway, let me get back to this. This is some Dungeon Synth here. What I call Dungeon Synth, right? Improvised Dungeon Synth. And I'll probably do more of this for the last couple of pieces for the 100, and then we'll move on to like more thoroughly composed stuff. And then I have this thing kicking around in my head of like a soundtrack to a game that doesn't exist. So I might do something like that. Like, it's a game soundtrack, but there's no game for it, because it's just that approach to writing. Right, like these more aphorismic kind of pieces that are about the mood of like a set piece of a level, and then you move on. If you look at the average length of the songs of like a Jeremy Soule soundtrack, and in fact, we can probably look that up. Let's look up the Oblivion track list real quick. No. All right. So yeah, let's look at how long these. Let's look at how long these are. So there's 26 tracks. Reign of the Septims, less than 2 minutes, less than 5. Death Knell, a minute. Harvest Dawn, about 3 minutes. Wind from the Depths, that's like a cave sound. A minute and a half. King and Country, 4 minutes. That's a longer one. Fall of the Hammer, that's like a battle music. Wings of Kinnereth, less than 4 minutes. So there's nothing here that's really long. The longest one it looks like is Minstrel's Lament or Piece of Akatosh. These are longer. I don't remember what Minstrel's Lament sounds like. Might click that, but anyway, these are aphorismic kind of things. So back when I was an undergraduate, used to write. I wrote a bunch of aphorismic pieces, and I'll dig some up if I can, and maybe I'll post them, and people can hear like the kind of stuff I wrote when I was 21. But I got, I do the same thing that I do now. I get the cycles of early focus and mastering one thing. So I love the idea of the aphorisms because it's like, rather than some long piece that can bore people, it's like each little movement is one idea and then you get the hell out of the way. Everything's 1 minute long. So I had a 10-minute piano piece where everything was designed to be exactly 1 minute long. It was 10 movements. 10 movements, 10 pieces, blast through them. I had a great piano player. I think it was Rennie was her name. And she just did a great job with the piece. I'll see if I have a recording somewhere. So yeah, I might do the same thing. 25 tracks rather than what I've done with the past Zool albums, right? Like if you follow my Zool stuff going from the first things I made up till now, the tracks just keep getting longer and longer, right? Because it's just, I can pack so much more interesting stuff into a track. We're going to go the opposite direction. We'll do, how short can we make it? Everything's going to be 1 to 2 ideas, one idea and a variation, get the mood, and then get the hell out of the way. And so that's what's in my mind for the next thing. People are like, when's the metal album coming? I don't know. It depends how inspired I feel to write metal. Because I haven't been super inspired to write metal lately. And I don't feel particularly good about where metal is as a genre for me to want to just like make a metal album. Like, what would I do with it? I don't know. Would anyone buy it? Probably not. But, if I made a soundtrack to a game that didn't exist, maybe someone would hire me to write a game soundtrack. And that would be a lot of fun. And I could make like a tiny bit of money that way. And have a bit of joy with what I'm doing. In the world, If you can spend an hour on Twitter, you can spend an hour writing. That's right. Maybe you could replace Jeremy on the next Elder Scrolls game when it releases in 10 years. Well, I don't think they'll have Jeremy because he got Me Too'd. Right? And that's... his career ended because... And I'll give you my take on this, which is just... This is really common in music circles. He just wasn't... I don't think he did anything like illegal or anything, but people felt like he just had some improper relationships. And so he gets to have no career as a result. And nobody gets to enjoy his music anymore because of that. Right? Nothing that's remotely transgressing the law. But it's just, if you had an improper relationship or you had a relationship with somebody who was maybe a subordinate, that after that ends, they feel, right, we contextualize things after the fact. So after that ends, they contextualize that as like, I was being pressured into this and I didn't feel comfortable. That ends your career. I had toyed with the idea of like trying to crowdfund having him write an Elder Scrolls 6 soundtrack and everybody will just use a mod to replace it with the real soundtrack. But then people were like, no, he crowdfunded like a symphony and didn't deliver on it. Henry Cavill has the right idea. Disregard females. So you used to be able to meet your spouse at work. I wouldn't do it now. Young men are always like, well, where do I meet women? If I try to meet them at work, it destroys my career. If I try to meet them at church, they're all taken or they're not interested. I'm like, it's true, right? Like, women don't go to church to meet men most of the time. Hopefully they're not there to meet men. They're there to, do the church thing. Where do I meet them? I'm like, I can't help you that good. I met my wife. We were music students. We were students together. And so we didn't get married till way after the fact, several years after that. But that's where we met. So the other women I dated, I met them at different places. I met them at parties or bars, or I met them at other mutual social gatherings and stuff like that. I don't know how if Zoomers do that anymore. If they like just go out to play pool with each other and then like talk to girls. I don't know if they do that because I'm super separated from that mode, right? My mode is very introverted now. But dude, if you're taking a lot of risks trying to meet women or talk to women at work for sure, you just are. And the same thing with women, right? Trying to meet men at work, it's just probably not a good idea either. My husband talks about it sometimes, how once you're successful, you can't really trust people to have good intentions if they seek a relationship with you, like doctors. Doctors can't find a good wife. So this is a true thing as well. And I've been there, had friendships that were mostly about like what I could do for that person and not really any kind of mutual enjoyment. It's hard, it's tough. I really dig the crows and the bright children. They're currently my favorite character. The crows. What am I thinking of? Are you thinking of the ravens in Water of Awakening? There's no ravens in Bright Children. There's no birds. But I appreciate you reading that. Yeah, they're fun. They actually, they come back in King Leper, so they're in King Leper, and they'll actually make a return in another book that won't be published for a while, as well. Oh yes, what's the other? So that one's called Swamp of Sorrows. Let's listen to this one, which is kind of dungeon synthy. I do need to do some dungeon synth with like no guitar. But like for most of this process of doing these improvs, it's guitar, right? Like, because that's like the base of the sound that I was developing. So now I'm trying to do some stuff that gets away from guitar and uses more synth and just does different stuff, you know? Can you tell us about your Zool Liminality album? Yeah. So it is just some tracks that I played live in 2024. I just went and found like the most popular songs and just put them on an album. And the only thing I did between those live performances, those live videos, and oops, here, I'll share it. I'll show the album. The only thing I did different between the final recordings and the original just videos that I shot was some remastering work, right? Like I just did a little mastering work and ran some compression, brought some levels up, tweaked the EQ on a couple tracks to try to get a little bit more unified sound, and also to just make things a little bit louder so that they'll sound correct on like Spotify and things like that. So that's the only thing I did. It's just random tracks, not random, but like tracks from 2024 that people seem to really like. They watched them. I think I went to, I just sorted by views, and whatever stuff had like the most views, I went ahead and just made that into an album. I did the same thing for 2023, but those were only songs from like the second half of the year because I didn't start this process probably till like August or September. So that was just like 8 kind of popular songs. 2024, I really focused on trying to get things, rather than like a lot of variety, trying to really dial in the more slow sound. And so that's kind of what ended up on the album. And that's what I did. Yeah. I have a video on how I create that music. I can probably find that somewhere. Here it is. I did a live stream on how I make this. So you can kind of go through like my process, the software I use, and how I build up all those sounds. So they're all performed live. They're all live. And they're all improvised. So I didn't write them ahead of time. I had kind of planned like what sounds I might use, and then I just went for it. All right. Well, your primary focus is fantasy and horror. Have you ever thought of writing space opera or other genres? I have written science fiction. And let me get a couple science fiction books here. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of, I don't know, it's not really space opera. But, you know, Prophet of the God Seed. It's a good one. You know. What else? I'll link this one on Patreon. Let me find my products here. Library. No, that's not it. It's hard to find. Like, I can sell stuff through Patreon, which is cool. Shop. There it is. Here it is. Farewell to Once Future Kings. Let me link this. It's a fun one. All right. I haven't recorded too many videos with this guitar. My guild. This lighting really doesn't capture how pretty this guitar is. You gotta see it on like bright stage lighting. It's got like this beautiful quilted top. Man, my skin is so irritated right now. So itchy. All right. Getting close to really needing to be done. I think my wife is making me some food. So I'm going to go for about 4 more minutes. That'll be 1 hour, and we'll have gotten some stuff done. I did actually want to change some stuff in the previous chapter, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'll just probably put it out as it is. And I have some revision notes for something I'm going to change. You really shouldn't revise while you're drafting, but I don't know. I could probably break that rule so that the people who are reading will have like a good copy of what's going on. So I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to draft right here. All right. I think that's about it. How long have we been going? An hour and 8 minutes. All right. That's it. I got to move on. So, I have this. One of the things I can do is we'll do a little highlight here. We'll have him do the dream walk. And then let me have all this stuff will happen. Okay. So we're doing good. Should be able to get this thing finished up soon. Anyway, I appreciate everybody coming by and hanging out with me. I really do. Yeah. Hopefully everything's linked. If you're not following the Substack, do that, because I do put out cool articles from time to time on that. Talk this week about jazz and genres and that kind of thing. So it should be fun. Make sure you are subscribed there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Mailing list. dvspress.com/list. That will get you on the mailing list, and you get a free book. A free sci-fi horror book. So grab that. All right, that's it, folks. Have a great one. Thanks for joining me this Friday. I might do some more streams over the weekend to just try to gain more ground on this novel. And that way I can move into the revision phase, and then we'll have King Leper, and then this will come out like with official releases. So that'll be cool. Another long book. All right, have a great one, and I'll see you all next time.